Now, while there was a lot of attention given to the crisis with immigrant families being separated at the border, and that was attention that, of course, was well due for the nature of that issue, Republicans in Congress decided to take that opportunity to pass some disastrous legislation. Now, this legislation, unfortunately, would attack three major quote-unquote entitlement programs: Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. So let me give you the details on this. Now, according to the Washington Post, the House Republican budget would change Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security and cut them by massive amounts. Now, the biggest cuts, of course, come from Medicaid. Now, let me give you some of the details out of Medicare first. Now, it would change Medicare by giving seniors an option of enrolling in private insurance that would compete with traditional Medicare. So basically what they're doing is that they're half privatizing it. Oh, no. So we're going to let you have public, the public plan, which, by the way, they're going to cut back on services with Medicare, and they're going to put private insurance companies in the mix. Now, that is a prelude to privatization. So along with that, and as I said, they're going to reduce services, right? How are they going to do that? Well, they're going to cut about $537 billion out of Medicare over the next decade. Disastrous. Now, let me go to, 537 out of Medicare. For Medicaid, it would be cut by about $1.5 trillion and would allow states to turn it into a block grant program. Medicaid would also have work requirements added into it as well for certain able-bodied adults. Now, that's Medicaid, $1.5 trillion, block grant program, Medicare, $537 billion. Now they're coming after Social Security as well. Now, Social Security will be cut by around $4 billion over the next decade. Now, they said the current budget projects could be reached by eliminating the concurrent receipt of unemployment benefits and Social Security disability insurance. Now, basically, what they're doing is that they're going to cut disability and unemployment. Wonderful. Great. Now, look, Republicans might argue, well, look, we can cut unemployment benefits because, well, look at the job numbers. The job numbers are so great. Job numbers, they indeed look great on paper, but then not so great when you realize that the unemployment rate does not count people that are no longer looking for work. And it also doesn't count people who are underemployed. So people who have jobs that don't make enough money to survive on their own. And, of course, college graduates who don't work in their field. So that's two different definitions of being underemployed. And I think they're both applicable in this case because, look, if you go to college for a pretty good job and you end up working at McDonald's, well, number one, you're definitely unemployed, or underemployed when it comes to your skill set, and also your pay is not going to be very good either. So the unemployment rate does not reflect that. So you can't exactly say that the job market is fantastic. Real unemployment is somewhere around 12%, and even more for younger people. Now, there are more changes that are disastrous to the safety net. Again, this is an attack on the safety net. The budget proposes $230 billion in cuts from education and training programs, including student debt consolidation programs and Pell Grant awards, and it also goes after food stamps. It requires federal employees, including members of Congress, to contribute more to their retirement plans, as well as cutting food stamps and welfare and adding work requirements. Overall, the GOP budget calls for $5.4 trillion in spending from major domestic programs. That's a lot of spending cuts. This is a Republican dream budget. Why? They get to cut Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, put work requirements on welfare programs, and this is after they gave out $1.5 to $1.7 trillion in tax cuts to the rich. So now they're going to say, well, but we don't need these welfare programs anymore. Look at the economy. It's booming. Look at the stock market. Well, the stock market is not a good indicator of how regular people are doing, regular workers. It just shows how rich people on Wall Street are doing fantastic. But it's also, and the recent rise in the stock market is not a reflection of how these companies are actually doing. And that's because a lot of the money that they have saved, these companies have saved thanks to the Trump tax cuts, have actually gone into stock buybacks and dividends and executive bonuses. In fact, most of the money saved by the Trump tax cuts have already went into it. In fact, it's about $1 trillion have been spent already in buying back stocks and dividends. And this is all while, of course, wages grew at about 2.7%. And that was another promise of the Trump tax cuts. Oh, no. We're going to have more jobs, and they're going to be better jobs. They're going to be better paying jobs. Real wage growth, 2.7%. Whereas, of course, profit margins for businesses, they've never been more profitable. The stock market has never been higher. When are people when are people finally going to understand that the stock market is not a good indicator of how regular people are doing in the economy? It's just an indication of the super rich and their big corporations. So, now this is all happening, of course, while health insurance premiums are actually set to rise over the coming years, as, of course, Trump has been sabotaging the ACA. Combine that with the devastating cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, a lot of people are going to find themselves without adequate health care. And you know what that means? People are going to start dying from lack of adequate health care. The ACA was not perfect. I am a huge critic of the ACA. I think we should have Medicare for all. But Trump's attacks on it, his sabotage of it, that's not helping anyone. Except for, of course, the insurance companies and big for-profit corporations. Of course, Republicans, look, they don't care. All they want is their corporate donors to make more money. Their corporate donors make more money, then they make more money. Then they get great jobs as soon as they get out of government. That's the whole point. They get hired, they run for office, and these corporations dump a bunch of money on them so that they can go to Congress and cut their taxes. Their own personal taxes as well as corporate taxes for their donors. That's the whole point of the Republican Party, is to cut taxes for the rich. Their whole point is to help the donors. So, of course, they don't care. This entire budget that was rolled out yesterday, and it didn't get a lot of media coverage because, as I said before, there was a lot of outrage on things that were happening at the border, rightly so. But this is what they're doing when Trump gives them cover. And cover is something Trump is really good at doing. He can go and he can create all sorts of different crises, and the media, of course, will talk about it. They'll do pieces about it, and they'll cover it for days, while Republican politicians behind the scenes take your Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. So this is what's happening. The Republicans, if you think the Republicans are better than Donald Trump, if you think the Republican Party in Congress is different than Donald Trump, you're wrong. They're all playing on the same team, and they all represent the same people, their donors. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.